The stock market is going insane. Are we due for a pullback? What is the July 9th deadline for tariffs going to do to the market? What stocks should you look at if it does affect the market and or if certain stocks do move? And a big stock that moved over 700% in one day. Let's get started. So first off, man, Trump coming out with a take it or leave it letters. He says it's easier to send letters than negotiate. Trump has soured on these deals since there are none getting made. The rate we can see is between 10 to 70%. So keep that in mind for auto stocks related to that. And if companies get that 70% tariff and the stock market starts dropping, you can look at gold and or GLD to the upside. Safe haven right there. Some stocks to look at with this deadline is going to be Ford, autos. Ford depends on a lot of foreign parts for their vehicles. So look at Ford overall. Next one is going to be Apple because Apple also runs on foreign parts like China. I think 80% of their iPhones are actually made in China. So you can look at Apple for this as well. So let's look at the SPX chart. We are still past all-time highs and still going past it, looking like we have some bullish momentum, even with this trade news looming. Honestly, in the past, man, we have been getting a lot of news and the market has been pushing it away. But if we look at the old, back then when the tariffs did come out, we did have a big sell-off overall. But honestly, that comeback was insane. Honestly, we have been kind of overextended for a while, and a pullback won't be too bad because it gives people opportunities to get back in, especially with retail investors, honestly buying the dip every time and benefiting off of it. A pullback wouldn't be too bad overall. But this can also bring down tech and the overall stock, so keep that in mind if stocks do start dropping for this. Like I said before, you can look at GLD since that spiked last time and kind of getting a little lower with this recent stock rally. We're still knocking on all-time high doors with gold, but honestly, man, we are kind of just up and down, kind of volatile right now. We could either make a break downwards and or break upwards, especially if tech starts selling off. You can see gold maybe even making a new all-time high. People are getting in this for safe haven and everything like that. Next thing to talk about is Bitcoin because Bitcoin has been moving pretty decent as well. And honestly, we might even see it break some all-time highs very, very soon. People are saying it can hit 125 by this week, which is kind of insane, but some plays to make with it. One that I do recommend is IBIT, IBIT, and it's an ETF that moves exactly with Bitcoin. If we go down to the options, they're relatively cheap for like 2 to 3 weeks out. You're only spending around $200. It's not really printed yet, but once the market opens, you can see the price on it. And I do recommend scoping one out, but only do it based on how Bitcoin looks overall. Some other plays to make can be with MSTR. MSTR is a decent one and moves exactly with Bitcoin. And we're going to be talking about a stock that's moving exactly with Ethereum right now and getting pumped up, but that's later on. And next one is going to be Coinbase that also moves well with it too. So I do recommend having MSTR, Coinbase, and IBIT on your radar to catch these Bitcoin moves if you do start seeing it break out. But we are getting a good extension with this rally and beating all-time highs for some stocks. Also, if this does give us a pullback, it will be a great time to get in, especially using the recent rally as an example. So basically, we sold off and then quickly after that, broke past all-time highs. This is what the market does, man. Also, another thing to watch is look at how countries and the companies are going to handle these tariffs. Are they going to eat it? Or are they going to make the consumers pay? And we will see that in the data and can also be a stock mover as well, depending on how consumer sentiment and consumer data comes out. So keep all of that on your radar. But now let's talk about Bitmine, BMNR, and it rallied a decent amount, man. So the stock soared 700%. Insane run, and it's not slowing down. They are trying to do what MSTR is doing with Bitcoin, but they're doing it with Ethereum. So if you guys do see this to the upside, watch how it tests that 130. If we could break past that 130, we could potentially get up to that 160 level once again. But please have your patience with this one, and you might even be able to see a little sell-off and play to the downside. But unfortunately, they do not have options yet, so keep that on your mind. There's no way to play options on this. If you guys are hype option traders, this one is not for you, unfortunately. But this one is running up a decent amount. I mean, honestly, imagine if you got it at that $4 level all the way up to that 130, sold it, you would have made a decent amount of money. So things to watch for this week. Honestly, it's an empty stock calendar. Nothing on Monday. We got the optimism index and consumer credit on Tuesday, wholesale inventories and Fed minutes on Wednesday. Fed minutes might be able to change, a direction or anything like that, but keep that on your radar. Thursday, we have initial jobless claims and some speeches. And Friday, nothing really special, but we do have the monthly US Fed budget. But please do not forget on July 9th, the deadline, the tariff deadline. We might be able to get some deals. I mean, they said we might potentially have deals, cooking up. We got some deals with, Thailand and stuff like that as well. I'm going to be making shorts on this. So if you guys are interested, check out those shorts. So now the section that people are waiting on. So right now, man, I really want to see how the stock market opens up today. Honestly, I'm not bearish or bullish yet. I just want to see how everything works out, see some more news, and see what's going on with the trade certainty overall. I think everybody's going to be waiting for that July 9th deadline. So we might see markets slow and or even sell off up until we get the news on trade deals. But that means that this week we can also see more trade deals and potentially early letters going to countries. So that can bring the market up or down. So please stay tuned with news overall. With all that being said, man, for AMD to the downside, look at that 136.5, 135, 133.5, and that 130 level flat. To the upside, that 138, 140, and then all the way up to that 145 level. Next, man, Boeing has been making a move to the upside and has been looking pretty decent. Some good trade news and just some deals getting made overall. But watch that 217. If we can break above that 217, look at 219, 220, 225 to that 230 level for Boeing. Have your patience with this one. But to the downside, watch that 215. That's going to be a key level. 213.5, 210, 205, and 200 for Boeing. Please, like I said, have your patience with that one. Next one's going to be the SPY or Spider, whatever you guys like to call it. Look at that 625, that 630, 635, and then 640. But those are bigger levels. So honestly, just have your patience with SPY overall. We are looking a little bit bearish for now. And honestly, it really just determines how we open up. But to the downside, if we do start selling off, look at that 623.5, 622.5, and that 620 level flat. Below that, look at 615 and that 610 level. NVIDIA, man, NVIDIA is a powerhouse. But to the upside, look at that 159. 160 is going to be key once again. We broke above it temporarily and then we sold off. But above that 160 level, look at 161.5, 163, and that 165 level. To the downside, if we do start selling off, 157, 156, 155, 153.5, and that 150 level flat. Honestly, man, if we do have a bigger sell-off, I think NVIDIA's going to be selling off and or holding up pretty strong. It really just depends. So please have your patience with NVIDIA as well. Apple, man, Apple has it looking pretty decent, but some tariff news can move it as well. And NVIDIA is too. I didn't mention that before. But to the upside, look at 213.5, 214.5, 215, and that 217 to that 220 level for Apple overall. Honestly, is this the time that Apple finally comes back and or it might sell off some more? So keep that in mind overall. I think we fell like 15 to 20% from that dip that we had previously, and we haven't reclaimed it like any other stocks. I think the same for Tesla too. But to the downside, look at that 211.5, 210, 205, and that 200 level. For Palantir, man, honestly, man, haven't even been trading or looking at Palantir, but look at that 135, 137.5, and that 140. To the downside, look at 131. 130 is going to be key. 128.5, and then that 125 level for Palantir. Tesla. So we did get some bad news overall for Tesla that I forgot to mention earlier in the video. But basically, Elon Musk, he's making his own little political party to say, and he said that he's going to be spending 12 months on it. That's where all of his time and effort is going to be going. And as we've seen before, when he was a part of Doge, DODG, whatever you guys call it, but when he was part of there, a lot of investors seen that the numbers were going down and stuff like that. And then everybody was pumped up that he came back to Tesla to kind of bring the numbers back and actually focus on his main business. With that being said, he just announced that he's going to be taking basically 12 months, a year, a whole year to focus on something else once again. And this will bring Tesla down. And I do recommend looking at Tesla to the downside with this because it's probably going to continue selling off, especially the way we've seen it before. With all that being said, man, look at that 290, 285, 280, 275, and that 270 level for Tesla. If we do start going up, look at that 300 level. If we can reclaim that 300, 305, 310, 315, and 320 overall. So one that I haven't really been looking at is Microsoft, just because Microsoft has been moving pretty strong. And honestly, if we zoom out just a little bit more, look at this chart. It is going insane. But we did indeed have a little bit of a sell-off at first, but then we came back instantly. Maybe not instantly, but please watch that 500 level. Above that 500 level, 505, 510, 520, and 530. To the downside, look at that 495. 490 is going to be key. 85 and then 480. But with all that being said, man, watch some of the shorts, check out the courses below if you guys want to up your knowledge on the stock market. I'll see you guys in the next one. Comment down below what stocks you guys are watching and anything that you guys want me to cover on the next video. Hopefully you guys have a great day trading today, and comment down below how much money you guys made. I'll see you guys in the next one. Good luck trading, guys.